Welcome to Nomad Chats, where we dive into the untold stories of nomads shaping their lives beyond borders. I'm Sam, and today I'm joined by Isaac Explores, a traveler and creator known for following curiosity into places that most people would never even go, always with a camera in hand and often alone. Together, we're going to explore what it means to embrace risk, solitude, and the unknown. Isaac, welcome to Nomad Chats.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, we're so excited you're here. How are you doing today? And where in the world are you joining us from today?
I'm very well, thank you. And I'm joining you from Dubai. I'm on a layover to one of my next destinations. I'm not here for long, but I'm making the most of it, like always in any destination I land in.
Amazing. Smart. How long are you going to be in Dubai?
24-hour visit, fly-in visit, but I'm just going to do like all the fun things to do in Dubai and then jet off to India, which is my next destination.
Okay, so exciting. Well, thanks for fitting this in within your 24 hours. It feels extra special that we're getting to talk to you today. You're in a hotel room, is that right?
I am, yes.
Okay, one night sleep in Dubai. Love it. So you
Hell yeah.
are known for traveling to often overlooked destinations. What do you think drives you to take the road less traveled?
I feel like it's also more of like a recent desire to want to do this in the last maybe 6 to 12 months.
Okay.
Especially, I saw so many different things online and also in the news primarily about all these different countries that are just massively, I don't know, there's one narrative for a lot of these countries, and a lot of the time it's very negative. And that sort of sparked a lot of curiosity for me. And I started thinking, is it really true that all these countries are actually as bad as we're told or as dangerous as we're told? And that kind of led me to looking at some of the more less traveled destinations. And I thought, why not go and find out for myself, share my story, and show maybe what the reality is like in these countries.
That's really cool. So it's very mission focused and intentional in that way. Have there been locations where, when you tell your friends or your family, people are ever worried for you or shared, oh my goodness, that is somewhere that I would never go? Like, what places and stories come to mind?
I mean, the first one that comes to mind is my most recent trip. I just came back from Pakistan.
Okay.
And a lot of people were a bit skeptical of me going. Understandably, the news does not paint it in the best light, but I knew from a couple of friends that that is not the whole picture, not the whole story of the country, which led me to going over there with two of my other friends, and we explored the country for just under a month, and it was the complete opposite to whatever you've seen online, whatever you've seen on any news articles. It was the opposite to that. It was incredible.
When you say it was the opposite of that, paint us a little picture. What do you think I would be surprised by if I went to Pakistan right now?
First and foremost, the hospitality. They treat every single person like family. I wasn't allowed to pay for taxis, meals, all sorts, because they treat you like you're one of their own, and they really want to have a lasting impact on you coming to their country because, well, I think it's part of their culture, but also they probably just don't get as many visitors. So they're kind of very happy to see anyone that chooses to come to their country, and they just treat you with the most utmost respect. It's amazing.
That's amazing. Has this desire to always travel into the unknown in these places that are maybe having a bad reputation, has it ever backfired? Has it ever gotten you in trouble?
Not really, you know. And I know a lot of people might be thinking, oh, there's got to be like a really bad story where something's terribly gone wrong. But it seems to be that things will always just kind of work themselves out. And I really think there's more good people in this world than bad. And a lot of people are very, just go into things scared and have all these negative ideas of people and places. But if you go in open mindedly and you go in honestly trusting people, you usually have a really good outcome. And that's the way I've kind of entered every country. I'm not going in judging. I'm not going in making any assumptions. I'm just going in open hearted, open minded. And it's nearly always led to amazing things and amazing stories.
That's very beautiful. It sounds like you really focus on what can go right versus what could go wrong. And that's a headspace of optimism and positivity that has probably led you to experiences that most people will never have because they're just so worried about what could go wrong. It also sounds like there's a fearlessness within you. Would you say you've always had that?
No, definitely, definitely not. Absolutely not. This is more of like
Okay.
a newer drive, but it's come from me sort of building the foundations of starting small when traveling, going to countries that most people would go to. And then when you get a bit of confidence from that, you go, right, maybe I'll start looking for some other destinations. And it's led me onwards to places like Pakistan. I'm looking at going to places like Afghanistan in the near future, which I would never have dreamt of doing about a year or two ago. But I feel like every new experience, especially when it comes to traveling, has kind of, it's made me who I am today, and it's made me more and more confident each time. And each time I come back home, I'm like, okay, I want something more. I'm ready for the next thing, and it kind of it builds this like desire inside of me for more and to explore these, I guess, lesser visited places.
Okay, I love that. Well, on Nomad Chats, we love a good story. Okay. So I want to hear one of your stories from your adventures. I believe you travel solo everywhere. Is that correct?
So I would say I do, but I end up
Okay.
meeting a lot of people, so I never feel truly alone. And that's the
Okay.
beauty of solo travel as well, I find. Like, you're never actually by yourself a lot of the time. And I'm very lucky as well to have friends in the travel community, in the travel space that want to do similar things, but I will never necessarily be like, I have to go there unless I have someone. Hence,
Mm.
I'm here in Dubai by myself, and my next couple of trips, I'm going to be solo. You know, you can't wait around forever for someone, but if there happens to be someone to go with, then amazing.
Okay. Can you share a story with us where the fact that you were alone traveling completely changed the outcome of the adventure you were on, either for the better or maybe for the absolute worst?
Probably the first thing that comes to mind is also Pakistan. It's my last trip. I was in a city called Karachi, right down south of the country. It's typically known to be more of the rougher and, let's say, more dangerous part of the country. And I was walking around the streets by myself. I was filming a YouTube video basically answering the question if I think this city is safe or not from my view as a foreigner. And some guy on a bike pulled up alongside me. And because I was by myself, in answer to his question, which was, would you like to get on my bike and come for a ride around the city? I could say yes. If I was with people, I probably wouldn't be able to say yes. And it took me on quite a journey around the city with this complete stranger who turned into one of my best friends in the country.
Wow. What is the most unique, like locals only spot that they brought you to?
I think the one place he took me to was a little street seller selling like sugarcane juice on the side of the road, and it was his little like go-to spot. I believe on his way to work each day, and he just wanted to give me a taste of what he knows every single day, which is really wholesome.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. And good for you for just hopping on the bike. And again, trusting strangers, assuming it will all work out. And you're right. If you're with a group of friends, that probably wouldn't have happened. So that's a
Yeah.
good self reflection. Overall, would you say solo travel has been more of an empowering experience or more of a challenging one that you've had to navigate? I'm guessing it's somewhere in between, or sometimes it's one more than the other. How are you finding that balance? And has that evolved since you've been traveling over the years?
I first left the UK solo by myself and I moved to Indonesia, moved to Bali, and I was extremely frightened, extremely nervous, and I didn't really know where things would take me. But ultimately, I think the path of solo travel is one where you grow a lot and you find an awful lot out about yourself. And I think it is very empowering, and it's really only a journey that you can get by doing solo travel, and it's growth that you'll probably never ever experience just being at home. And I really think it's all so positive, and I think I would genuinely recommend everyone at least one point in their life, even if it's a small trip, should give a little bit of solo travel a go. Even if it's just to a typical European country, maybe you're used to going, I still think it can change a lot, and it can have a massive impact on you as a person and just on your outlook into life even as well.
Hmm. And did I read that you're 22? Is that fact still correct?
Yeah, I'm 22.
You're 22. So you are literally growing up right now while traveling, while going on all of these adventures. You
Yeah.
mentioned growth a few times. If you were going to look back on it, like what do you think? How do you think these experiences are starting to shape your identity, how you see yourself? Like, what are the things that you're noticing by being alone and having all this time to self reflect and grow up in front of the camera and around the world, often alone?
The first thing that comes to mind is confidence. I was not a confident person before I left to travel. I was quite nervous. I couldn't even dream of posting anything online. It would scare the life out of me, and I was really worried about being judged. And you quickly realize that, people's opinions don't necessarily matter. And even if people say stuff, at the end of the day, it shouldn't really shape or define what you do and how you feel.
Just reflecting on, I think, the person you were before you kind of started this adventure, you painted a bit of a picture for us, someone who was shy, who worried a lot about what people thought about him. And you're noticing that's shifting in this experience. Anything else you're really noticing about your identity and how you see yourself that maybe if you hadn't been doing all these adventures and traveling solo, like where do you think you would be right now?
Wow, good question. In terms of a version of myself, I'd be a far less confident version of myself. And I even mean for like, for example, going out for a meal, going out just to the shop by myself, like things like that would probably be a little bit daunting before, even though it's not a big thing. I just was mindful of what people thought of me and how I looked and everything. And now I just feel a whole sense of like this confidence that I can't even really put into words properly. But I just feel like whatever I'm doing the right thing, and it doesn't matter what people think. I'm confident enough within myself now that I know that I'm on the right path, and I'm just making sure that I enjoy what I'm doing. And that's the main focus.
Well, a theme that I'm kind of hearing in your story is just doing it and seeing it work out. So you do it more and you do it bigger. Like you started with a couple trips around the world and you're like, okay, that worked. Where else could I go? Could I go to even more unique places? Could I debunk what it's really like to live there? And similar with posting content, I can imagine that very first video you posted made you really nervous, but then it worked out. So you did another one, you did another one. And now would you identify like as a content creator? Like that takes a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I would identify as a content creator. And even more recently, I'd now call myself a YouTuber, which is like, was always my dream growing up, being like, oh, I'd love to call myself that. And I've only started YouTube about 3 months ago now, and it's gone incredible. And I can really sort of feel like, okay, this is like the right path for me. So yeah, I guess I can now confidently call myself a content creator and YouTuber. And yeah, feels great.
I can imagine. Well, congratulations on stepping into that new identity and just taking those baby steps and one step at a time, literally, and seeing it work out and then do it more and do it more and do it more. And I think that repetition and that process of try something, see how it feels. If I like it, do more of it. If I don't like it, then just stop it is that experiment of life that is kind of the whole point, isn't it?
Exactly, yeah. And also, I think you have to be willing to fail. Like, you got to
Okay.
understand in any sort of journey, like, you're never going to win straight away. I mean, some people do, but you most of the time you're not going to. So, like content creation, you've got to put out hundreds of pieces of content to really see what sticks. And I think I posted for a year straight every day with nothing really happening. I didn't earn a single penny. I didn't really gain any followers, but I was doing what made me happy, and that was the most important thing. And I think the only reason that I'm still here doing this, and I'm at a point now where it's worked out a little bit more successful. I'm still not where I want to be, but I think it's because I just kept turning up each day. I truly feel if you're doing something every single day, something will click and something will change. But consistency is key in anything in life. And I think I put all any successes down to just being consistent and showing up every day in some way, shape, or form. That is truly the most important thing.
If we were going to start with consuming your content, where should we start? Is there a piece of content you created that you're the most proud of? That if anyone just saw one video or one piece, what would you want them to see?
Just go to my new YouTube page. It's me as my authentic self, and me giving people in certain places a voice that they've never had before. And I'm able to go and just be on the ground, speak to locals, interact, and just show the whole process of that. So genuinely, just go on any YouTube video. It would mean a lot, and I truly think it will show you travel in a slightly different light.
We're just thinking about kind of moments where you question this lifestyle, whether the lifestyle of a content creator or the lifestyle of a nomadic traveler who's going around the world to these often overlooked destinations, often alone. Like I can just
Mhm.
imagine there had to have been days where you just thought, like, I'm just so alone out here. And it can be a very, very vulnerable feeling. And I'm sure many people listening to this have either felt that way or are scared to feel that way. And so they don't do it at all. What can you share with that person about, the reality of that feeling and how you worked through it so that you didn't give up?
That going home and restarting, it's fine. It's okay to do that. Sometimes you just need a little reset to go again. I don't think we're meant just to push ourselves day in, day out forever. Taking breaks is important. It's something that I've learned more recently is actually necessary. And I actually now make time to go home a little bit more often. Before, I was kind of fearful of going home because I thought it means I failed in my journey of traveling and content creation. And when I did used to go home, it was because maybe I was low on money or something like that. But now I kind of go home out of choice because it kind of brings me back to where I've come from and just allows me a bit of time just to refocus, rethink, replan. And if anyone's out there on the solo travel journey and they feel burnt out, it's okay to go back. And you're not going back to where you started. You're coming back a whole different person. And it just
Mm.
means you can get ready in a whole different way, in a whole different light. And yeah, just don't be fearful of maybe slowing down and stopping and kind of just taking some time for yourself, because everyone thinks you just need to go, 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 see as many countries as possible. But I think ultimately, like if you do that, you probably will burn yourself out.
And eventually it might lose its magic if you're going about it at such a fast pace and collecting experience after experience after experience without ever having those moments in between where you ground yourself and reflect and
Yeah,
you soak up the experience you just had. You kind of just gave me a picture of you going home and just being cozy in the familiar and
yeah,
just taking in everything you had just experienced and like kind of bracing yourself for going back out there for the next level of growth. Because often, yeah, it is about traveling and having fun, but I find like a lot of long-term travel, it very much is a personal growth experience where every day you're navigating something new, you're literally putting yourself out there, and that can be a lot on our nervous system. So coming home in between, I imagine that's been really comforting for you.
definitely. And I even remember thinking back now to like maybe a year, year and a half ago, I would try and think back like the week before, and I'd done so much, I couldn't even remember everything I did. And these weren't like just
Mhm.
like going to the cafe, coffee shop. These were like, I climbed a volcano and something, and I was struggling to remember it because I was just non-stop doing the next thing. And, you know, it's all fun and it's great at that moment in time. But sometimes it's like, I think it's important just to slow down and reflect a little bit. And yeah, it's been a nice thing to do now. And I think also where I'm now documenting things in a longer format, I'm a bit more present. Where before I was kind of just trying to get like the highlight moments of my day, and now I just want to be a bit more present and capture things in a, I guess like a just a more of a me way, more of an authentic way that means I'm still in that moment and I'm not forgetting exactly what I've done like before.
Hmm. Well, it also sounds like the content you're creating becomes a capsule for you of all of your memories and what you learned from an experience and is almost like someone's personal journal, but you're putting it out into the world. Does that resonate?
Absolutely. I want, especially my new YouTube channel, to be something I look back on in like 40 years and be like, wow, this is a catalogue of all my travels around the world. And I can watch it, you know, in these 20, 30-minute videos and take myself back to those moments and be like, wow, that's what it felt like. I can actually relive it. Where I feel like, you know, short form, as amazing as it is, you don't really get that in depth feeling where you can kind of go through someone's day with them. And also, I find it's also sometimes hard to actually connect with the person because they're only showing you, you know, 10 seconds of them and little bits of their day, which is not always the full picture.
Earlier in the conversation, you mentioned that yes, you're traveling solo, but you're never really alone. Like you're always meeting people, joining different groups. Like, how are you finding connections on the road? Like, what would your tips be for somebody who maybe isn't as charismatic and extroverted as you are and able to really put themselves out there? Like, how would you advise someone who was more reserved in their social skills and their ability to just like go out and make connections? Because for you, like, I'm guessing like you come off like it would be so easy. Tell me if
No,
I'm wrong. Okay,
you
tell
are
me
wrong.
more.
I don't find it that
Okay.
easy. I just feel like I'm very lucky where in the content creation space, you kind of know everyone online already. So then when you meet in person or you plan trips, it's just things kind of happen a little bit easier because you already have these well, you feel like you have these connections through an online thing. But I understand not everyone has the luxury of connecting with all their favorite content creators, and that's the truth. So when I first started, my main ways of connecting with people, and remember I was very nervous when I started, so I didn't even want to stay in hostels. And I know a lot of people would recommend hostels, but actually that felt too daunting to me. That felt I didn't want to go and sleep with 8 strangers in a room. So my way
Okay.
was going on Facebook groups, and I could kind of interact through a screen, I guess, and kind of like what I'm doing now, but in a different way. I could find like a local Facebook group. So when I moved to Bali first of all, and I joined like a local Facebook group where it was like people just moved there and they could put like a little, almost like a Tinder profile of themselves, but not for dating, for meeting fellow travelers. And that was the first way I made my first friend. I connected, I commented, he messaged me back, and we're now still best friends 2, 3 years on. And I think that was a
Amazing.
really way to ease into it rather than maybe going in the deep end like a hostel. And I found there's a lot of Facebook groups for almost everywhere in the world. You can kind of find some community for that specific place you're going to.
Okay. Very cool. When you are thinking about capturing a destination that you've been to, How do you really know a place has left a mark on you? What is there a sign that you would look for or a feeling to know, okay, I really connected with this place and it was more than just a destination I was passing through? Like, is it about the amount of time, like 24 hours in Dubai? Could that be enough for you to really feel like you had a connection with the place? How do you know something somewhere has left a mark on you?
Usually how I am afterwards. Like if I'm going home to my mum and my dad and I can't stop talking about a place and saying they even need to go, then that's how you know it's left a mark on me. And usually it does need to be a little bit longer than 24 hours, truthfully, because I feel like what leaves a big mark on me is not just the place, but the people. And I think you need a little bit of
Mm.
time to really meet people in destinations. I mean the local people more so. So I think if I'm in any country, at least a week, I can get a good feeling of what it's like and what the people are like. And then if I'm going home screaming and shouting about how amazing this place is, that's how you know it's left a lasting impact on me.
What is the latest place that you've been screaming and telling everybody about that they must go? You've mentioned Pakistan a few times in this conversation. Any other destinations where you would just say that has to be on your list?
My first answer from most recent travels would be Pakistan. That left a big impact on me because of the people and how hospitable they were. But another country that really left a mark on me, and actually a country I ended up living in for almost a year, was Indonesia. The Indonesian people are incredible, but not just that. It's a country with thousands of islands. I don't even think they know how many islands they have, and it's just I feel like it's still quite undiscovered. It's just so stunning, and it truly has some of like the best landscapes I've really ever seen anywhere, and it's so diverse as well. You've got these blue waters, you've got volcanoes, you've got rice fields, you truly have everything, and you can even have all of that on just one tiny island. So it's like just a never-ending paradise that you just want to explore and explore and explore. And even after being there on and off for a year, I would still go back happily every single time, knowing that there's so much more to uncover and explore.
Yeah, I've been to Ubud and it was a very beautiful spiritual place and absolutely loved it. I think I spent a month there and yeah, that was a good
Wow.
amount of time to really feel like I was part of the local culture and joined a yoga studio and did the things that you can do when you're more than just passing by for 24 hours in Dubai, right?
Exactly, exactly.
All right, Isaac, we always like to end our conversations with a rapid fire round. So, Nomad edition. I have some questions for you. I don't think you've seen these. So, they're just quick answers. First thing that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Would you rather city chaos or wild nature?
It used to be wild nature. Now I like the city chaos because I get to meet all the people and show their stories to my audience.
Okay, I think I know this one. Meticulously planned or totally spontaneous?
Definitely, totally spontaneous.
Okay. A place that surprised you because it felt like home.
Indonesia.
Weirdest place you've ever slept.
On the side of the road in the Sahara Desert in Mauritania.
Hostels or camping.
Camping.
One rule you always follow when exploring somewhere new.
Say yes to as much as you can.
Love it. And finally, what is your next travel destination?
There's multiple, but the literal next one is I'm going to India, and then I'm looking at crossing back into Pakistan for a brief amount of time, and then I'm taking on probably my biggest challenge yet for me, and I'm going to Afghanistan, which is another one of those countries where mum and dad looks at me like I'm crazy, but I just feel like it's my time to go. I feel like I'm ready to explore it. I'm confident enough, and I feel like I have enough knowledge of the country that, yeah, I'm very excited to explore it and also give the local people a voice. Because again, it's a country that's got a lot of negative media coverage, for reasons we all know. So it will now be interesting to see what it's like in 2025, and that is the next month of travels that I have lined up.
Amazing. Well, I admire so much the intentionality behind all of that. And I look forward to following along. Isaac, thank you so much for taking us on your journey, just giving us a preview of what it's been like to go to these destinations and the learnings that you've had along the way. You've really reminded us that curiosity and courage, they go hand in hand, but that being alone doesn't mean that you're lost. So, for those listening, if you enjoyed today's chat, don't forget to subscribe, to share with other nomadic friends, people who might be wanting to pursue this lifestyle but are a little scared. See you next time on Nomad Chats, where the road less traveled always has the best stories.